We can talk about anything your heart desires. It is, in fact, the Dean Blundell show with Zev Shalev. It's like
No,
it's the other way. It's not. Yeah, it is. It is. It
no.
is. And welcome everybody. Welcome to
Hi.
the show.
Nice to see you. We're arguing over who's more important. Before we went on, we're literally arguing over who's more important. I'm like, you are. He's like, no, you are. I'm like, you're better looking. He's like, no, you are. It's just this mutual admiration society that Zev Shalev and I have for each other. There's nothing but love here. He's my Substack Live partner. You can find him at narrative.org. We'll get to some of his latest work, including a quick story off the top. But make sure you go subscribe. Hit that Chiron at the top, top left-hand side. You'll see a gray button with my name, Zev's name. You can easily subscribe there. And again, we want to thank everybody for joining us and for one of our major partners for coming along for the ride. And about a year ago, I got tuned into this website called Ground News. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. My God, I don't know what I would do without Ground News.
So
You know how
useful.
many
It
people are
really
like,
is
where
so
are you
useful.
getting your information? How do you find this information out? How do you figure out how can you write in an unbiased way? It's because we all have blind spots, and Ground News fixes that and much more. If you go to groundnews.com// by the way, FiveStack, you'll get 40% off your membership at Ground News to consume all kinds of incredible news that you can count on. And that news is written in a way that there is no bias. No one's trying to gaslight you. And you can actually literally see who's writing it according to the ideology of the people who are reading it, right? So, it's truly an amazing, amazing news site. And I became a member of Ground News far before they became a member of this show and a partner here of the FiveStack. So I can truthfully tell you and honestly tell you, it's not like we're hawking a product. When I found out that Ground News wanted to be involved with us, when Zev told me, I was like, oh my God, I'm a Ground Newser. Like, that's what I do. That's where I get all my information. So if you want 40% off, go to groundnews.com/FiveStack and you'll get that 40% off right now. But I did tell you that, didn't you? When you said, hey, we got this opportunity. I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love Ground
You were
News.
so enthusiastic. I couldn't believe it. So I was thrilled that they agreed. You agreed. And I'm also really a big user now. I mean, I got to tell you, every single time I'm looking for a new story, I'm trying to understand the lean of a story. They're very good at showing you the different sides. And it makes a huge difference in our coverage. It makes a huge difference in our understanding. And it will yours if you sign up for groundnews.com/FiveStack for 40% off. We'll have a story from them later on in the show. There is a lot of breaking news today, Dean Blundell. There is a lot happening, and I was trying to avoid starting with Epstein because it's been.
I don't think you can.
We've been doing a lot of Epstein, so I was trying to avoid it, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So two big developments that I'm just telling you off the top of my head here is Lutnick, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, was testifying, and he now concedes publicly that he did in fact visit Epstein Island, completely opposite to what he previously said in testimony, and completely the opposite of what he'd said in a podcast recently. And the other big news is that Massey and Connor, the two congressmen, have revealed the names of the 6 people who were redacted for no good reason, as they put it, in the Epstein files. So I'm about to sneeze. I'm going to let you say something.
Yeah, let's quickly get to Lutnick. Not sure if anybody saw him in the Senate Oversight Committee hearing today. He is such a fucking weasel, and he sounds like one every time he opens his mouth. And like, hey, we got some communications that said you were indeed on the island. I don't know if I was really on the island. I kind of went to the island, but there's like 10 emails and like 20 years of correspondence and millions of different things. You can't hang that on me. I mean, whatever. And then they're like, no, but here, let me read this to you. Here's an email about you going, hey, Jeff, you're my boy, Jeff. I'm coming to the island and I'm bringing a host of kids for you. Here are their ages. And he's like, yeah, I brought my kids and I was with some other kids and some people and I brought my nannies. We brought our nannies and everything too. And then we went there just for like lunch because we were in the area because everybody's in the area of a fucking private island that belongs to a known fucking pedophile. Never. Well, I've been to the Bahamas. I've never been.
That was a great impersonation.
Well, then he's like, and this was the best part. He's like, and we had kids, but like, I don't even remember really why we went for lunch. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Today, folks, not just Lutnick, But some of the stuff we're going to talk about, that fucking weasel. I like my just so you know, I'm a big Lutnik impression guy and cannot get away from RFK Jr. as well.
You're fantastic.
We're going to get to him a little bit later on.
Do you want to watch him?
The House of Cards is coming down. Yeah. I mean, you know, that is the theme of the FiveStack today is Donald Trump, everyone in his cabinet, we're all on fucking Epstein Island. There are hundreds of thousands and now millions of accounts of it. They're unredacted. You got fucking literally GOP congressmen, senators, men and women walking out of the unredaction fucking place going, oh my God, it's worse than we thought. And we know way more than you. This is here.
Lutnick,
here we are. Today you're going to get some Schadenfreude.
I think you understand the root of concern.
Watch
here.
Lutnick.
It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again.
My wife hated him.
Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies.
Yeah.
I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's...
Can we just break that down? I can't hear you. Yeah, no audio. No, I need your audio. Are we there? You back?
I'm here.
No?
I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, let's break that down. Let's start at the back and go to the front, okay? His last piece there, he's like, I don't even remember why we went for lunch. Well, you went for lunch because you went for fucking lunch, and you knew Jeffrey Epstein and you were pals with him. That's why you went for fucking lunch. It's not why. And then he's like, and we took all of our kids home. Was he planning on leaving some there? Like, what a ridiculous statement. Were you planning on leaving a nanny there? Were you planning on leaving a couple of kids there? Which, by the way, in an email to Epstein prior to that lunch where he was really excited to join Jeffrey, by the way, and this email exists as part of the Epstein files where Lutnick's like, we're bringing these people and we're bringing these like 12 kids. Here are all their specific
several
ages, names, and sexes.
There are several emails. There's
250 of them.
There's emails from his wife saying, we look forward to seeing you. We'll be there. We're coming down from this harbor or whatever it is. Then there's various conversations about them agreeing to a deal of some sort. And they're also talking about attending a fundraiser together. I mean, these are the same people that he said he could never saw again after, Epstein mentioned his massage. He's next door neighbor, by the way, for a long time.
For 20 fucking years.
Yeah, and this is such a bold-faced lie to arrive for the second time in the Congress and to testify again that under oath and again be lying. It's just, it tells you everything that's going on in this administration. This is an administration full of pedophiles and people who are supportive of pedophiles, or at least not condemning them. I mean, you'd think that the Commerce Secretary would have something bad to say about Epstein, having figured out everything that we figured out in the last few days about this man. But he just went for lunch with the guy, and it's okay. It's okay.
But he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why. I can tell you why, Howard, because you are intent on being a pedophile and sexually abusing young women. That's why everybody went to Epstein's
We don't know if he
We know.
But
we know. The fucking dude lived next door to him. Listen, let's stop pretending. Okay, yeah. Howard Lutnick lives next door. He probably had a secret fucking door that went from his place to Epstein's place. And let's go back to the original line where he's like, my wife and I were invited over for coffee, and he took me into this fucking ballroom and had a massage table and lube, and she's like, let's get the fuck out of here. So now we've got communications between the wife and Epstein, Jeff and Howard, several of them, in fact, 250 to be precise, about this cordial neighborly relationship where they were going to the island to have lunch, and they were going to get into business together, and they were going to bring a bunch of kids. But he really made sure, if you watched, to tell us that he made sure to take all the kids home with him. What the fuck was that all about?
It's a long way away.
And let's get to the nanny story. Do you know how many fucking nanny swaps happened They would hire these young girls and turn them into nannies. You know how many fucking nanny swaps happen? He was very specific to mention his nannies as well, saying he took those
Yeah, I wonder who the
nannies
nannies
away.
really are. I mean, are they nannies, or are they nannies?
You know,
'cause they could
nannies.
be nannies. This is appalling, and it's not surprising, of course, that he's lying. It's just surprising that he still has his job. Why is Lutnick still at the Commerce Secretary anywhere else in the world? If
Because
there's
he
any
has as much to
association with
lose as
Epstein,
Trump does. We've
they
been
all
over
out.
this 100
I know, we've
times.
been through
They're
this,
all
but
fucking pedophiles.
all of them.
They're all pedophiles. And I'm watching Caroline Levitt, pregnant as fuck, with some 95-year-old guy's baby. She's standing up there today. And they're like, well, Howard Lutnick was found to be lying about this. And she's like, Howard Lutnick's a great man and Donald Trump supports him. Next question. Like, dude, he's not going anywhere. And the reason why he's not going anywhere, because Donald Trump is going to go down swinging with every single one of these people.
Let's watch that.
Because if one person goes down, they all go down. Yeah, let's watch that. This is good.
Thanks, Caroline. Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about, because you continue to ask questions about the same subject, so let me point them out.
Oh, that is ridiculous. No. Ridiculous. That is not, this is ridiculous. But, that's the quickest turn you've ever seen. I mean, that is like, still supporting, and then moved on. That is not.
Well, that's the thing.
Unequivocal support. That is not her saying, we absolutely support the guy. That is her saying, let's move on to something else.
That's her saying, listen, if Howard gets it, Trump gets it. And if Trump gets it, everybody gets it. And he's surrounded himself with people that have been on that island, that have raped and abused children and women. And so what do you think? I'm going to move on to the next question. Let's talk about the wins. But there are no wins. There never is a win. I mean, it's just a fucking disaster. The United States is a fucking economic, socioeconomic, fucking human rights disaster. And it's all at the hands of Donald Trump, and everything is a distraction. So part of him really likes the fact that Howard Lutnick was up there going, yeah, I made sure I collected all my nannies and kids before I left Epstein Island. I totally was there. We had a ham and cheese. It was lovely. Like, it was...
You crack me up. That is hilarious.
Well, I mean, he's just the whiniest little fucking parrot I've ever met in my life. And if he was in front of me, I'd slap him senseless. He's one of those guys. He's got that $1 million grin, and the second you fucking stand up to him, he's like, don't hurt me. I swear to God, I'll give you whatever you want. That's the kind of guy he is. And he's literally on the run from visiting Pedophile Island, and not once. The fucking dude admitted that he was there once. He's been there 100 times.
What gets really concerning is that he is Cantor Fitzgerald, of course. It was Cantor Fitzgerald. I'm not sure if he still is, because he can't be. But they're very connected to Tether. Tether is that big cryptocurrency stablecoin company. And so they're very wired into the whole dawn of crypto and the collapse of the US dollar, which we're seeing now, take shape with China selling off treasuries at a record pace, Brazil now signing a deal with China to do all its trade in...
that really pissed off Rubio today, by the way.
He's like,
everybody's going to have an economy around the United States, and we're fucked now. We're like, we know.
That's what you wanted. That's what your policy is, right? I mean, that's really what they're trying to do. So, he stands to profit from the rise of crypto and the collapse of the US dollar and the increase of tariffs and all these other things that they've been doing. And that's why he doesn't give a shit, because he knows at the end of all of this, him and his family are going to be very wealthy, while most Americans are going to lose their shirts. That is really what this is all about. And also in Epstein News today, Representative Khanna, yesterday he visited the redaction room at the DOJ, and he's got all 6 names of people that have been redacted that he doesn't understand why. Let's listen to the first bit of what he did in Congress about a couple of hours ago.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake. And now they have revealed the identity of these six powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI. Now, my question is, why did it take Thomas Massey and me going to the Justice Department to get these six men's identities to become public? And if we found six men that they were hiding in 2 hours, imagine how many men they are covering up for in those 3 million files. But the story gets worse. The reality is that Donald Trump's FBI scrubbed these files in March, long before Thomas Massey and I passed the Epstein Transparency Act.
Thank you, Mr.
Now, my bill is clear. The Epstein Transparency Act requires them to unredact those FBI files. And yet the Justice Department said to me and to Congressman Massey, we just uploaded whatever the FBI sent us. And guess what? The FBI sent scrubbed files. That means the survivor's statement to the FBI, naming rich and powerful men who went to Epstein's island, who went to his ranch, who went to his home and raped and abused underage girls or saw underage girls being paraded, they're all hidden. They're all redacted.
Wow. That's not surprising, but it is interesting. It certainly sounds like a cover-up to me. It looks like a cover-up to me. Your microphone's off.
It's a cover-up.
It's a cover-up.
It's the biggest cover-up
involving Cash
in
Patel,
the political cover-up in the history of the world.
Yeah. So they basically...
I mean, and that's a great point, Zev, is this isn't Donald Trump, just Donald Trump. It's not just Howard Lutnick. It's 36 members of his cabinet.
Yeah.
It's Pam Bondi. It is Cash Patel. It is the entire DOJ and the infrastructure around the DOJ. It is Todd Blanche. It is everybody that is supposed to get resolve for victims, that's supposed to uphold the rule of law in the United States, not just bending the rule of law, but using the rule of law to hide, obfuscate, and run interference so that these victims, thousands of victims who were raped as children, raped as young women, abused, sexually abused, in some cases fucking murdered, according to the Epstein files, and their families will sit through this again and again and again until we get those names. And, you know, the six names, and we'll get to that in just a minute, those six names pale in comparison to another piece of information we got from Jamie Raskin today.
Yeah.
And I need everybody to understand something, okay? What I'm about to tell you is true. I put a post up at deanblundell.substack.com. This is news that broke about an hour ago. Jamie Raskin walked out of the DOJ room where the unredacted files were and confirmed that when he did a search for Donald Trump in the unredacted files, more than 1 million mentions of Donald Trump appear. Not 38,000, not 10,000, not 25,000, not 100,000. That means they have redacted his name a grand total of 960,000 times. The FBI. Did you hear what I said?
I can't even believe that Epstein's name is there 1 million times. So if Donald Trump's name is there 1 million times, he must be the most named person by far in the Epstein files. And you know, of course, there's all sorts of things that could be in there that could be duplicative, or there could be reports of different kind. But 1 million mentions. How many crimes?
Let me update you. There are 10 million files that we know of, right? Mm-hmm. We have about 3.7 million of the files, including the 3.5 million that we got like a week and a half ago. This is a fact. This is directly from Jamie Raskin. This is sourced reporting through the Wall Street Journal, through Axios, through the best resources and sources I can find. I never print anything that's bullshit. It doesn't happen because of press clippings. It doesn't happen because of duplicates. It happens because a person is deeply and structurally embedded into the documentary record of a federal investigation that doesn't automatically mean criminal guilt, but it absolutely obliterates the fucking idea that Trump was some distant incidental character who barely brushed past Jeffrey Epstein before cutting ties, which is also a lie. At one point, the document's Raskin flag cuts straight through Trump's most rehearsed talking point that he kicked Mar-a-Lago out for being a creep. The unredacted files include a 2009 email exchange between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell recounting what Epstein's lawyers said to them during a phone call with Trump. Trump, according to that email, said Epstein was not a member of Mar-a-Lago, but he was a guest, and no, they never asked him to leave. That's not spin. That is the truth. And then, of course, in the unredacted files, we finally find out who ratted out Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in the early 2000s. Do you know who it was?
Donald Trump.
You fucking got it, cowboy. Let me read this to you. This is fucking awesome. After Epstein's arrest in the early 2000s, Trump reportedly told the Palm Beach police chief that everyone knew what Epstein was doing. He described Maxwell as evil. He told police to focus on her, said that Epstein was stealing women from him. Remember that whole thing? Of course he was. He was running the same fucking thing. Trump didn't say he was shocked. He didn't even say he was blindsided. He said he just learned the truth. And he said that, quote, everybody knew what Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were up to. He said he knew, which raises another question that's hovered and answered for years. If Trump knew, why did Epstein remain at his club? Why do we still have these correspondences with them going all the way to fucking 2019, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, they kept
prior
going,
to Epstein's death.
Yeah.
They talked the whole fucking time.
They never stopped talking to each other, even though officially they claim they stopped talking in 2004, which is still 4 years after this alleged theft of a person from his club. You know, it's very interesting. We've been doing with Ellie Leonard this hidden journal, the secret journal, which overlaps some of this because the journal also contains allegations about Donald Trump and what happened at Mar-a-Lago. In this journal, it says, that she names Donald Trump's infamous club Mar-a-Lago in chapter 4, in the part 4 that we just published today. And she also claims, this is the unknown survivor says, that in the way she structured the diary, and you have to see the page, but she basically says that Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago were a slave camp and a child prostitution center, a child prostitution ring, all based in Mar-a-Lago. Sorry.
Yeah, she said there was old people playing golf, and behind the golf course there was a slave camp, and that slave camp was Mar-a-Lago.
Exactly.
And that was a place to impregnate, enslave young girls, a prostitution ring for children like her. And if you folks, I highly encourage you to go and go to narrative.org, go to Ellie's, the Panicked Writer. Make sure you go and consume that article, because that article and that series, I think there's a 4-parter to it. I don't know if you're coming out with more. It lays out in plain detail, according to this coded journal, everything that we're talking about today in terms of how many people are being impugned in this. Now, I want to get back to those 6 names, like we said, we get back to co-conspirators. Yeah. This Sultan, that guy's one disgusting piece of fucking business. Wanted to put tracking devices in the shoes of children. He and Epstein talked about how great of friends they were and signed off by saying, I'm about to go taste a Russian girl right now. Also sent a series of torture videos asking for 10 and 11-year-old girls to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein's like, yeah, I can do that. And by the way, love the torture video of that girl. No idea, because the video wasn't in there. But you want ties to the UAE? There you go.
The Sultan also bought the neighboring island for Jeffrey Epstein. There's another island, of course, to Little St. James. And it was the Sultan who actually bought that. So those torture videos, people who know this world tell you that if you ever go onto a yacht with one of these sultans, you're crazy because you're not going to come off. They will do all sorts of things with you and then leave you in the water if you're a young girl. So the word has always been, don't go on a yacht with any of these Arab, sheiks,
sultans and billionaires and sheiks. Yeah.
So I mean, that's not surprising. You know who else is on this list? There's Salvatore Naura, who is a New York Police Department detective. Also appeared in Epstein's Little Black Book and investigated and disciplined for his connections to an escort service in New York. So they obviously had some corrupt influence over the New York Police Department, which is super convenient if you're running a human trafficking ring out of the Upper East Side. Or is it the West Side? I think it's the East Side. Zurab Mukheladze Not much information available on him. Obviously, doesn't sound like an American name, but name was improperly redacted. We don't know very much about him. Leonid or Leonik Leonov is also, we don't know who he is yet. So I don't have enough information about these other three names: Nikola Caputo, Leonik Leonov, and Zurab Mikaladze. But we'll get more information. But now
we know a lot about Lex Wessner, though. He's in there.
We sure do know a lot about Les Wexner, because Les Wexner is, of course, the patron of Jeffrey Epstein. He's the godfather of that whole thing. He's the reason that Jeffrey Epstein got those homes. He got the home in New York. He got the home in Palm Beach. And he also got the Zorro Ranch he got on his own. But at least we know that those two homes he got from Leslie Wexner. He also got another home in New Albany in Ohio, which is where Leslie Wexner presides over this massive empire of L Brands, which we all know as Victoria's Secrets, and we also know as Abercrombie and Fitch, also involved in another scandal involving underage kids. And, Mr. Wexner is considered Mr. Ohio. He's considered the guy who runs the place. He has a tight control over almost every aspect of Ohio law and order, and so he never gets into any trouble. He lives in a compound called New Albany, and Jeffrey Epstein helped build it for him. And he's also connected, interestingly enough, to J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, and to another key figure in J.P. Morgan, Kessler, who's was on the board of J.P. Morgan, and then also Jess Staley, who's a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. All connect back to Leslie Wexner. Now, is Wexner going to testify on the 18th? I believe he is. He says he's going to be truthful and honest. Can't wait to see what he has to say. He obviously paid someone a lot of money to remove his name from this, from the files here. Because I'm telling you, these Mr. Sultan over here, and maybe the NYPD department has a different influence, but Mr. Wexner and Mr. Ahmed bin Salam are not poor, and they probably paid money to stay out of the FBI files and to stay, redacted. That seems to me how they would have got to that position.
Yeah, Trump is not a stranger of monetizing anything from protection to silence, right? So, pardons, whatever you need. What do you want? I mean, he is a professional at that, so I wouldn't doubt it either. But on the 18th, we're going to find out what Leslie Wexner knows, but I highly doubt we're going to find out what Leslie Wexner knows. I think what Leslie Wexner is going to do is do what Ghislaine Maxwell did the other day, which is plead the fifth. Everybody's going to plead the fifth. You're not going to get any fireworks. You're not going to get any coming to Jesus conversation. You're not going to get someone in their advancing years with a moment of nuclear guilt go, you know what, let's just tear the cover off this. Yes, it was me. Here's who's involved. Here's how we paid for it. Donald Trump's totally involved. Yes, I empowered Epstein. And I know that we're a hopeful society. I know we're a group of people who are like, man, maybe the dam will grape one. No. Every single one of these people is part of the 1%. And that 1% is vicious about protecting their wealth and their influence and their power. Those are the only fucking things these people care about, is being in that fucked up club. That fucked up club that rapes children, that does eyes wide shut parties, that murders children, that takes part in eugenics, tries to breed. This is the most fucked up group of people, these billionaires and trillionaires, this billionaire class. And that's why they've been getting us to fight this culture war, which we talked about yesterday, is that, hey, if they can instill fear in us, if they can do things like execute us in the streets of Minnesota, then that's going to allow the trillionaire class to room and to breathe and to do whatever they want. And these are people that have never had consequences in their fucking life, right? Leslie Wexner's never had consequences. The only consequence Jeffrey Epstein's ever gotten is being fucking murdered in his jail cell, if indeed he's even dead. Donald Trump hasn't suffered any consequences, even though he acts like a perpetual victim all the time. Nobody involved in the regime has suffered any consequences for the perpetuation of a pedophile ring that has lasted 30 years, that has destroyed not thousands of girls, but tens of thousands of lives that belong to the families of each one of his victims, each one of his victims. And so when we sit here and wax about, what they know and what they don't know, you have to remember that one thing is that 1%. All they give a fuck about is protecting that 1%. That's
Yeah.
all they care about.
Yeah.
And so nobody's going to sing. Nobody,
Wexner's gonna call
including
in-
Les Wexner.
Wexner's going to call in sick. He'll be too old to travel. I can't come. Whatever, something's shown up. I can't show up. I mean, I just don't see him doing it. By the way, some new information here. Nicola Caputo is an Italian politician, previously a member of the European Parliament. That's interesting. Sultan, we've mentioned, he's an Emirati businessman, chairman of CEO of DP World. Leslie Wexner, we've mentioned. The other three still struggling to get enough information on the other three, but we now can add an Italian politician. Imagine that, and a member of the European Parliament. Useful when you're doing the kind of things he was doing. One final thing here, we should, Lauren Boebert, on her way out from the redaction centers, had this to say.
Congresswoman, are you among the members who got to see the unredacted files today?
Yes, I saw some of them, not all of them, obviously. I'll be going back tomorrow to see more.
Any reaction on what you've seen so far?
I think that there's folks who are definitely implicated in co-conspirators. And, I don't think everyone there that was talking about underage girls being trafficked are victims.
Got it. And do you support any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? She was saying that she
I
was...
do not.
Okay.
I think Ghislaine Maxwell should get more time, and she should definitely be in a harsher prison than what she's in. It's absolutely disgusting.
Got it. Thank you, Congresswoman.
That's Lauren Boebert,
Yeah.
formerly a big MAGA supporter.
Yeah. And listen, she's no stranger to throwing it around herself, right? So, Again, I could get, obviously, these women have any they'll take any advocate they can get, and Marge is an advocate, and Lauren's an advocate, and Nancy Mace, who's fucking dumb. Like, they're all stupid. They're all advocates, but they're advocates, and that's good enough, right? And to your point, for someone who's like hardcore MAGA that several years ago was wearing a MAGA hat on the floor during a State of the Union, screaming at Joe Biden, calling him a pedophile. I mean, the sea change is here because they've seen it. They know it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's interesting too, because she went off the other day. She's like, it's way worse than you even fucking think. She was doing an interview in her what appeared to be her sunroom, and she switched on. She wants justice for victims. She's also got an axe to grind because she's been unceremoniously dumped out of MAGA because she had an issue with all the pedophilia. Well, guess what? The pedophilia is here. Donald Trump's a pedophile. All of his friends are pedophiles. They're all sexual abusers of women. And now women, for whatever purpose and reason that were involved in MAGA, to some extent, that were the most hardline, have drawn that line in the sand. That is dangerous for Donald Trump and his regime, because that's his base, and that's the only thing he gives a shit about. He doesn't care about anybody else. He just cares about that 15% that he can keep tricked, muzzled, and moving forward in the name of Donald Trump and MAGA and reform and migrants and, making America great again. The biggest lie that he's told outside the other two big lies, which is I won the election and they're going to rig the election. Those are two fucking terrible lies he continues to tell. Well, the third big lie is that he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. There are a million fucking examples of him in the unredacted files that 1 million, 1 out of 38,000, 1 million that Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jamie Raskin and everybody involved that has gone in to see it can just look at. And they've seen it. Gigs up. Gig's fucking up.
One of those mentions, or at least a couple of those mentions, involve the First Lady, Melania Trump, who, I reported this yesterday in an exclusive on Narrative, that there are two mentions that that state, one is under a proffer, so it's under oath, that Donald Trump met Melania Trump via Jeffrey Epstein, that he introduced them to each other. Another one describes that Donald Trump was having such a good time on the plane, or was it at the mansion? Who knows? In the bedroom, that he kept coming out and saying Melania had was such a great. A great ass, or a great piece of ass? That's his expression. Yeah. A great piece of ass. That's his description of the First Lady on his first meeting her after being introduced by Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is very connected, as we've been pointing out over the last few days, to the Russian intelligence services. Some of the people around him who are Russian spies, who are very directly connected to Russian spies, are proven as being, trained at the FSB school. It seems like Melania, who was a product of one of these modeling agencies that were benefiting from the visa program, the Einstein visa program, like these other spies were benefited from the Einstein visa program, perhaps we should be investigating exactly how she got that visa, who sponsored her on that visa, whether anyone in the FSB sponsored her on that visa. And, you know, do we start contemplating the notion that the First Lady might in fact be, you know, spying for a foreign government?
Yes, and yes, and yes. And then another
that's what
yes.
leads
And
you,
then
right?
an
It's hard not to-
absolutely, and then another yes. Listen, this latest dump, and if you've gone to Narrative, you can read about Melania. No, don't worry about it. That you can read about Melania and the history and the literal emails that come along with it about her being brought into the United States for meeting Jeffrey Epstein first through a guy named Paolo Zampoli, who now has a plum position in the Trump regime in some kind of trade or economic capacity. He's just a fucking runner of hot babes from Eastern Europe. That's all he was. Young girls and women. That's all he was. And now he's somehow a fucking diplomat for the fucking Trump regime on top of it all. And if you go into the Epstein files, specifically the proper files that you've put out in your story about Melania, narrative.org, you will literally see a transaction for Melania Trump giving Epstein giving Melania to Donald Trump as if she is, quote, just a piece of ass, which he kept repeating.
Yeah.
So when we have that conversation, not just about her being a spy, and I am fucking 100% convinced that's exactly what she is. She's a plant. She's a spy. She's a Russian hooker. She's a Red Sparrow. She's the world's most successful Russian hooker because she's now the First Lady. But you've got a Russian fucking plant and a Russian hooker literally in the White House in the Oval Office right now telling, and by the way, here's the other thing. She apparently, according to Donald Trump and according to all sources, has this open line of communication of Vladimir Putin. If you remember that, they say they talk about the kids. Oh, we talk about kids and helping kids. Meanwhile, there are 30,000 children who have been kidnapped and sold or hustled around the world by the fucking Putin regime out of Ukraine. She's never said a word about those things. Every single fucking brick in this wall turns up to be a brick in the foundation that proves that Melania Trump is absolutely part of this. She's absolutely a fucking plant, and she was a hooker before she was a spy, and she's a spy and a hooker.
Sorry to do this to you, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna step away.
You got to blow your
because
nose?
I've got it. That's not stopping. So I'm going to put you
Yeah,
up
go
on
blow your
your
nose.
own little screen, and I'm sure you can fill the time. You're good at this stuff.
That's me. You're putting me on the screen. There we go. Now you get me. Full screen. Zev's going to go blow his nose. And if you haven't seen the piece from Zev, you need to go read it. If you go to narrative.org, you can read this. Melania Trump, there is no history of her as a child other than the information you get from her. There's no history from her as a teenager other than when she first came, and the first contact you see from her is someone who was deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein, Paolo Zampoli, and then the second, piece of information that you get through Elite Models that she was part of Jeffrey Epstein's world, and then he introduced her to Donald Trump, as he did with literally hundreds of girls and women. I mean, it was a game to these guys who can get the most hot young Eastern European women. So what do you think the KGB did during that time? I'll tell you what they did. I'll tell you what Vladimir Putin did. I'll tell you what the FSB did. They said, we have a moron that we can play. Let's hustle a bunch of Eastern European women into New York. Let's get them to show up to these clubs, and let's seed this with opportunity, because if the FSB knows one thing, they know deeply compromised perverts like Donald Trump, who is morally flexible when it comes to making money any way he can and not based on merit. They're an ego, like fucking all ego. That's what Donald Trump is to the FSB. He's the fucking perfect mark. Perfect mark. Perfect. He was when he married Ivana. Perfect mark. Krasnov, they said. People from Uzbekistan that worked with the KGB to put him in a place of power said, oh, yeah, we sent him Ivana first. Then he got mixed up with an American named Marla Maples. And then we brought back another Eastern European woman, Melania Trump. And it all fucking makes sense. Returning from his sneezing fit, Zev Shalev. It's a brilliant piece. Please go there.
So good.
It is impossible.
Can I just say
Well,
you're the best
true.
broadcaster in the world? I just think you're amazing.
It's not true.
Because you
That's
can just,
not true.
I don't know how you do that. That is, I'm sure everyone agrees. It's just incredible.
Well, it's just facts.
It is
just
facts, but you
just
keep them
gotta,
in your
like,
head.
repeat
You
the
make
facts.
sense. Everyone understands what you're saying. You put together a
Welcome.
cogent argument, and you're damn entertaining, Dean Blundell. Damn entertaining. Thank you for letting me do that, because this was
You're
not
welcome.
stopping. It just started at the top of the show, suddenly this allergy fit. But there you go. It's
nerves.
Is it? I don't know.
I think so. I think you're nervous being around me.
It is because you're so amazing. It's because you're so amazing. You're intimidating.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Listen, I just am absolutely stunned by this information that we're getting today. It is beyond reproach. We can't, I mean, this is not sustainable anymore. This administration cannot stay in power. We have, evidence that Melania may be a spy. We've got the Commerce Secretary who is now admitting that he went for lunch at Epstein Island for an hour. Who does that for an hour?
And doesn't know why he went for lunch, but made sure to tell us that he gathered all of his 20-something nannies and the children he was with, and made sure to tell everybody he didn't
I'm glad you brought them all
anybody
with.
behind as a fucking housewarming gift. Yeah.
And then you've got the President of the United States is mentioned 1 million times in the Epstein files. 1 million times. I mean, it's the stuff that they've given us is already so incriminating that I can't imagine the stuff they've chosen to redact, because that must be insane. I mean, there must be so much there, and it must go into areas that we haven't even thought of. Because every time we turn around, Donald Trump is doing some other disgusting thing in these files. I mean, it's not like just a little bit. It's everywhere you turn around. He's raping, throwing sex parties, potentially murdering, burying his victims. I mean, it's just worse and worse all the time. Plus, we know the money he made from Russian money laundering or Russian money. We're not sure he was laundering or he was being rewarded or paid by the Russians.
Both.
Because I think he was. I mean, I think it was payment. Clearly that the house, which, by the way, we've not seen anything about this house. I don't know why. I'm sure there was an investigation into the house in Palm Beach that was, by the way, previously owned by Leslie Wexner, but was handed off to Donald Trump for free, basically. He got a loan from Deutsche Bank. And then he paid $50 million for this house, and then he sold it to the Russians for $95 million, to Rybolovlev for $95 million, and he didn't pay a cent for that entire thing. He made $95 million off it, as far as we can tell. Maybe he paid back $40 million
Michael
to the Deutsche
Cohen
Bank.
said. Just so you know, Michael Cohen said that had nothing to do with Russians.
Oh yeah, he said it was. He also said Katie Johnson was somebody else, and
Mary Doe.
Yeah. He's got some things too. I want to see where Michael Cohen's in these files. I want to see where the rest of because we've already seen him.
Yeah, I haven't seen much else, but it's funny. Just a quick side note before we wrap this up, because I do have a hard out today.
Okay.
I got a note from someone. It's like Michael Cohen is talking on his podcast about how he can sue you, Lev, Zev, Tara Palmieri, and Ellie Leonard.
Sue us.
Yeah, please, Mike. Please do it. I'd welcome it.
I mean,
I haven't lost one of those yet, too, by the way. So,
look, he can try, but the facts are the facts. He's lied to all of us for a very long time because he obviously knows a lot more. And I'm dying for the other million mentions because I'm sure he's got lots of things to say about each of these million mentions. And let's hope
if he was Trump's fixer for 14 years, knowing every intimate detail of his life, said he'd take a bullet for him, and then we find out there are 1 million mentions of Donald Trump in the Epstein files.
Imagine.
Let's move off the Katie Johnson thing just for a second, and let's focus on the other 999,999 mentions. And let me just point this out as we go. For all of you that are sitting there going, well, maybe this is the deep state trying to get Trump. Maybe. Someone redacted his name specifically and all his friends.
Yeah.
1 million times. Like the FBI, Kash Patel's FBI. If you remember Kash Patel, this guy, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Standing in front of, with his eye. He's like, I can't see you, but you're there. I'm looking at you and I'm looking for you. You can't tell which eye I'm looking at. Remember that guy?
This is a perfect guy to be FBI director.
And he's like, Kash Patel's like, I have never witnessed any trafficking of girls by anybody in the Epstein thing. It doesn't exist. Move on. You guys are lying. Donald Trump's winning. Kash Patel did that under oath. Kash Patel is in a lot of fucking trouble this morning. And that's the encouraging part here, friends. For every building that pervert has slapped his name on, and every miscreant he has put in charge of an institution that is currently hurting Americans, to keep you away from what we all know to be true, is that Donald Trump and his friends are all pedophiles. Every single one of them. And today was one of those days where you're like, oh, fuck, thank God. I mean, the sheer volume of this means that we're in business. the sheer volume of these redactions means, and the fact that 950,000 of them happened at the direction of Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. That's who gave the FBI their marching orders to scrub these fucking files. You heard it from Ro Khanna. You heard it from Thomas Massey. You heard it from Jamie Raskin. You heard it from fucking Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Nancy Mace. You're hearing it from everybody. Donald Trump's a pedophile. Your president of the United States is mentioned in the Epstein files 1 million times. And not just mentioned, but mentioned in the worst of fucking ways by every single person that had anything to do with him. And now we have the Palm Beach report where the Palm Beach police chief co-signed the fact that Donald Trump, because he was pissed off at Jeffrey Epstein, because he was stealing the minors from his pedophile protection ring in his slave camp at Mar-a-Lago in the spa, he ratted him out and thought that would just fucking fix Jeffrey Epstein's wagon. Well, guess what?
I don't think he even
now he found out that... What's that?
I don't think he actually ratted him out first. There was rumor that he was being ratted, that he was under investigation, and that's when Trump jumped in. Only when he thought, hey, I might get caught up in it.
Yeah,
it's not that he
go on the offense. He's a rat.
Yeah,
he ratted him out at the
yeah,
end, right?
yeah.
It doesn't matter if he was first or last. He's like, fuck, yeah, I'm going to jump on to protect myself. Yeah, look at that guy, And then everybody looks at that guy, he gets arrested, and game on. And now all the Epstein stuff makes sense, where he's like, we've yet to get to the worst of the worst, and that's Donald Trump, in literally thousands of email exchanges. Now we know why, right? Now we know fucking why. And kids, he's not going to be able to run from this. He's going to be able to pretend. He's going to be able to gaslight, but you have to pay attention. If he's in there 1 million times, he's fucked. Folks,
there's a new statement that just came out from the survivors, and they're saying the department's actions to date mirror the very dynamics Epstein relied upon. Powerful actors protected by secrecy, while victims are exposed, scrutinized, and made to bear the consequences. This is a statement that just came out. In recent days, senior Justice Department officials have suggested that the latest release of Epstein-related files represents transparency, and that survivors should have the closure we deserve. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche told the department's review of the Epstein-Maxwell case is over. He also suggested that while victims want to be made whole, the department cannot create evidence to come up with the care. We know he said all these things. So this is a statement that I will put up on the site right afterwards, where they're saying, that this is a cover-up too, because it clearly is a cover-up. That's what we're witnessing. That's what's happening. And these heads need to roll. Know. These heads need to roll. The Department of Justice, the FBI, these heads need to roll. And if there's one thing to do yesterday you called about Lutnick, is to call for that. Call your Congress people, call anyone you know who represents yourself in government, and say you demand that the Department of Justice leadership and the FBI leadership all get under investigation or resign immediately for being involved in a massive, massive cover-up that includes Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, you name it. I got to get out of here because I think I guess
you're exploding. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget, go to groundnews.com, get 40% off your Ground News subscription with the FiveStack promo code, groundnews.com/FiveStack. It's where we get our news. It's unbiased. It'll walk you through the news. It'll fix your blind spots. I've been a member of Ground News for a very long time. You need to do the same thing. Very grateful to have them as a partner here on the FiveStack. So please, groundnews.com/FiveStack, groundnews.com/FiveStack. You get 40% off your subscription, which is a big deal. That's huge savings. And if you need a Sherpa to help you kind of figure out what's going on in the world, there is no better Sherpa that I will co-sign other than groundnews.com/FiveStack for 40% off. Go to narrative.org. A lot of the content that we talked about, you can read at narrative.org today. Now, Zeb is leading the charge. Give him a paid sub. Get his stuff to the top of the algorithm, including this coded journal that you've done incredible work with Ellie Leonard. Give her a follow, too. And hit that Chiron at the top. Listen, we exist because you exist. We exist because of the fact that you find value in what we do. So if you find this information helpful and you want to share this with people, please do so. That's of the utmost importance here. Share and like, little box at the bottom, the heart. Hammer those, send those to anybody. And if you want to subscribe to DeanBlundell.com when you're done all that, grateful for that subscription as well. Your paid subs get us and keep us in the game, keep us in your lives, and keep us moving forward. And I just could not be more grateful for this community today. You've meant so much to all of
great
us. So thank
stories
you.
on there today. You've got absolutely great stories about the million mentions of Donald Trump. You've got mentions, a complete analysis of what went on today with Ro Khanna, plus a lot more. Everyone should check out.
The Gordie Howe Bridge story in Canada too, by the way.
It's such a good story.
Yeah.
We can get to it today.
I will get to it.
But people can find it at deanblundell.substack.com. That is the FiveStack for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll see you then. Thanks for being here, everybody.